Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friday Apocryphal Podcast, your one-stop shop for everything Friday Apocryphal and podcast. And boy, do we have a show for you today. Today we are covering Sirach chapters 20 through 23. Wow, we both stumbled at the same time.
Well, that's good.
Did.
Synchronous stumbling is better than not synchronous
See, we
stumbling.
even synchronized our mistakes.
Yeah.
That's how good we are at this.
It's interesting how mirror neurons work, huh? Right. Well, anyways, we are reading this book. We're like last time and the time before. We are starting in the middle of a section with our new chapters.
Yeah. Although in this one, in the commentary at least, it is divided into a way that makes sense for the day, actually.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
That'll make it a lot easier to read along.
Yeah, it will, at least for the commentary purposes.
Well, let's talk about chapter 20 before we really get into it. What's it all about?
So chapter 20 kind of continues the whole wisdom and folly thing that we were discussing before. So kind of goes on through until chapter 21.
All right.
Yeah. Although I would like to know one thing.
Yeah.
What translation are you using?
I am using the Anchor Bible, Wisdom of Ben Sira, a new translation with notes by Patrick W. Scahan, with introduction and commentary by Alexander A. Delela.
And I have the Wisdom of Ben Sira, also known as the Book of Ecclesiasticus. And this translation is by W.O.E. Osterley, a very old translation. It's really not that great. In fact, there are going to be some contentions that more modern commentators have with Osterley's reconstruction.
So it looks like, I'm just paging through the commentary on this chapter before we get into it. It looks like this chapter is a series of shorter poems. There's one that's verses 1 through 8, so we'll be going over that one first, I guess. And this section of this chapter gives wise comments and observations on the value of silence and appropriate speech.
Yeah.
Then there's a section later that contains remarks about the appearances of things. Then there's a section about inappropriate speech. Then there's another one about maxims of poverty and shame. Then there's another one which is about lying. And there's another one which is a bunch of maxims about wisdom. So
Classic wisdom literature.
So like, holy crap, there's just a bunch of short poems jammed together in this one chapter.
And you know what? We're going to cover all of them.
Yep.
Because that's literally our job, yeah. That's what we do.
It's what we do.
Yeah. Although, before we hop into chapter 20, I have Erdman's commentary on the Bible, and I also have right here the New Interpreter's Bible commentary. And those are really the only things we are going to be utilizing today.
Yep.
Although, before hopping into chapter 20, I'm going to read something here from Erdman's about it. With chapter 20, Sirach turns to speech and silence, another favorite topic for Egyptian wise men. Indeed, in Egypt, the professional sage was sometimes called the silent one. The Greek writer Plutarch said, "A sage thing is timely silence, and better than any speech. To many thinkers, silence was golden." And of course, that's something that a lot of cultures recognized.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's hop into it then. I'll start us off at chapter 20. An admonition can be untimely, and a person may be wise to hold his peace. An admonition is too good to be resented, for one who admits his fault will be kept from disgrace. Like a eunuch lusting for intimacy with a maiden is he who does right under compulsion. One person is silent and is thought wise. Another, for being talkative, is disliked.
Yeah, so something about the eunuch, which was kind of a strange one.
Yeah, it's kind of out there, but I can see what they're getting at.
Yeah,
know?
so the analogy in verse 4, although graphic, is not entirely clear. Ben Sira pictures a eunuch being overwhelmed by lust for a young woman, passion that by the very nature of his condition will lead the eunuch nowhere. To that scene, Ben Sira compares the attempt to force an individual devoid of moral formation to behave ethically. Lacking inner motivation, the person can make no progress in doing the right thing. So if you are completely incapable of doing good things, why would you even try to convince someone to do good things if they're incapable of it? It is absolutely futile.
I don't know. Have you ever played the game Lemmings?
No.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Ruben understands then. Very good.
Yeah, you get rid of the lemmings.
Shh. Don't tell him that. That's giving away.
Now I know.
Ah, man.
You know how lemmings jump off of cliffs one after another and they just follow each other?
Is that the game?
Yeah, that's the game.
Okay.
And it's also the animal.
I know, but like, is the game, is that?
Yeah, it's like a map editor game where you have to lead a group of lemmings to the target.
Okay. That's
It's
what a game.
It's very old.
Okay.
You'd got to have a green screen, man.
Yeah.
Guess what?
What?
We got one.
Yeah, we do. What's
Oh.
on our green screen today?
A green screen computer.
Oh, okay. That's different. No, on the green screen today, yes, as you can see, it's just something about lust.
Oh.
Because we're gonna get into some more juicy stuff later.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Like a eunuch. Oh, man. We could do a parody shirt of Madonna like a virgin, but like a eunuch.
Yeah, we could do that. You're right. That is a thing we could do.
I'd be lying to people if I wore that, though.
No.
I have my balls. I'm sorry.
My dick and balls, if
Yeah,
you
man,
guys...
that's a
Yeah.
joke. I'm
Yeah.
a good actor. Thanks.
There was this skit he did.
Yes. Where I said I couldn't get admitted into a church because I lost my dick and balls. It was a good sketch.
Yeah, it was.
Sketch. Yeah, sketch. Man,
Wow.
I can't talk. I was on a meeting at this time. Sorry.
All right. One person is silent because he has nothing to say. Another is silent, biding his time. The wise is silent till the right time comes, but a boasting fool ignores the proper time. He who talks too much is detested. He who pretends to authority is hated. And that's the end of the first poem.
Yes.
So, pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Some misfortunes bring success. Some things gained are a person's loss. Some gifts do no one any good. And some must be paid back double. Humiliation can follow fame, while from obscurity a person can lift up his head. A person may purchase much for little, but pay for it 7 times over. A wise speaker makes himself accepted, but fools' blandishments are poured out in vain. A gift from a rogue will do you no good, for in his eyes his one gift is equal to 7. He gives little and criticizes often, and like a crier he shouts aloud. He lends today, he asks it back tomorrow. Hateful indeed is such a person. The fool says, I have no friends, nor thanks for my generosity. Those who eat his bread with mocking tongue again and again laugh him to scorn.
So a fool is tight in lending and loud in complaint. Therefore, it's no surprise that he has no friends and gets no thanks in the verses we just read there, those last two.
Yes.
Although Ben Sira's allusion to persons who rose from humble circumstances to positions of power represents a literary topos in the ancient world, as the story about Joseph demonstrates.
And that's the end of the second poem of chapter 20.
Yes.
Now, the third one. Lost footing is not as bad as a slip of the tongue. That is why the downfall of the wicked comes so quickly.
Yes, so there is a good chunk of commentary here on that verse. So verse 18 echoes a proverb of Zeno of Citium, a Stoic who lived from 335 to 263 BCE. Better to slip with the foot than with the tongue. Sirach builds on it, claiming that the downfall of the wicked is just as speedy. Even when a fool utters a proverb, the timing is wrong. They just can't get anything right. These damn fools. You daft fool.
Daft. Fool. A delicacy served up insipid is the tale untimely told. The heedless are always ready to offer it.
So, for verse 19, yeah, in mine, it's just it's a little bit different, but it's essentially saying the same thing. It's just in a different word order. So the image in the Greek of verse 19 is lost on modern readers who do not realize that the fatty tail of a sheep was considered a delicacy in the ancient Near East.
No, I would not have realized that. That's good to know.
A proverb, when spoken by a fool, is unwelcome, for he does not utter it at the proper time. So, proper times, right?
Yeah, they even when they say something that's true, they just say it at the wrong time.
Hey, you're giving fishing advice to a dying man. Help him instead.
Yeah, he's hungry and he can't even get up. He's in so much pain, and you're like, "Come on, I'm gonna teach you how to fish so you can fish for yourself."
Yeah, right now.
It's like, okay, but I need help.
Yeah.
Immediate help. Yeah.
You don't want help.
Don't worry, I'll help you.
Okay, next poem. A person through want may be unable to sin. When he comes to his rest, he need not have regrets. One may destroy oneself through shame and bring on one's own ruin by foolish posturing. One may give false hopes to a friend out of shame and have him for an enemy needlessly.
So for verse 22 there, I have another destroyeth his life through sense of shame. He loseth it through want of frankness. So the commentary here is losing one's life because of human respect, apparently, is a better translation. Sounds odd. Perhaps Sirach meant that attempts to win respect in Hellenized society meant compromising one's religious faith and thus incurring shame. I mean, I kind of get where he's coming from there.
Let's see if there is a note about it. That was
For 22.
chapter. Yeah, that was 22.
Yeah, because apparently the translation that Ehrman's used was life because of human respect.
There is no textual note. I'm looking at the narrative commentary now.
Yeah, so hopefully there's something in there.
In verse 20, Ben Sira again equates wisdom with fear of the Lord and fulfillment of the law. So that's verse 20.
Yeah, a parable from the mouth of a fool is rejected, for he uttereth it out of season.
But for 22, it says, not all knowledge is wisdom, nor is the counsel of sinners prudence. See Psalm 1:1. For a certain type of resourcefulness is detestable, literally an abomination. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't really say much, huh?
Yeah, that doesn't say much. A lie is a foul blot in a person, yet it is constantly on the lips of the heedless. Better a thief than an inveterate liar, yet both will suffer disgrace. A liar's way leads to dishonor. His shame remains ever with him.
Damn liars.
Yeah, so once you dishonor yourself, you never come back from that.
Well, yeah, you have now dishonored yourself.
Mm-hmm.
They become their own worst enemy,
Yeah.
essentially. Just like the one Alice Cooper song. Your own worst enemy.
Yep. Now I think this is the final poem in this chapter.
Yes, it is. And there is actually a note on this, just a quick one. So the Greek heading, proverbial sayings, before verse 27, indicates that an ancient scribe divided this section differently from that suggested here. So yeah, apparently the Greek version has something else there.
Mm.
Yeah, proverbial sayings, or according to Osterley, parabolic sayings. Although he has written here the reward of the wise.
Mm.
So that's a decent amount of variation. But either way, that's not the division that modern scholars take on it, I suppose.
Okay. There's quite a bit of commentary on verse 27 specifically. So I'm going to read that. A wise speaker advances himself. A prudent person pleases the great. So the commentary in here, which I assume is from Alexander A. Delela. I assume that's the commentary that they mean because there's notes and commentary.
Yes. According to Erdman's, the sensible person who pleases the great probably refers to wise courtiers like Ahikar and Daniel.
Yeah, so it talks about that for a while in here. It says in verse 27a, a wise speaker is the same expression as in verse 13a. The prudent person, in synonymous parallelism with a wise speaker, pleases the great, a reference to Jewish sages at the court of the Gentile rulers of Palestine. The idea expressed in verse 27b occurs also in the romance of the successful or wise courtier. Several examples of this literary genre are found in the Old Testament. Joseph in the court of Pharaoh, Mordecai in the book of Esther, Ahikar in the court of Esarhaddon.
Esarhaddon, yeah.
Yeah. Daniel in the courts of Nebuchadnezzar and Belshazzar, and Darius the Mede. So there's a whole bunch of situations like that in the Old Testament. Long list. Not quite as long as the lists in Chronicles, but
that was the worst list.
yeah,
That was the worst thing to ever be written anywhere.
Yep. Okay.
Some scribe wrote that by hand.
Some scribes had nothing better to do with their lives.
I mean, I guess, but that sucks. Like, at least the other stuff you're writing, scribes had to write, huge section. I'm sure they had to rewrite the Torah a whole bunch of times, right?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, guys, you're just modern scribes. You have to go through it all.
But, like, the thing is, at least there's, like, a story there, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's longer, but it's not nearly as boring.
Mhm.
Like, that's gotta suck. I'm sorry for those scribes. They're long dead now. And they're happy about it.
They're super
they are
long
glad.
dead.
They're not feeling anything about it.
No, not anymore.
Yep.
They have peace.
No, they don't. They have
They have
nothing.
Nothing.
He who works his land has a heaping yield. He who pleases the great can make amends for guilt. Favors and gifts blind the eyes. Like a muzzle over the mouth, they silence reproof. Hidden wisdom, an unseen treasure. Of what value is either? Hey,
See, I
take
agree.
that, Blavatsky. She's like, the more hidden the wisdom, the more valuable it is, basically.
Right, yeah.
And Sirach's like, BTFO, lady.
It's not even the more hidden, the more, like, ridiculous it sounds.
Yeah, the more indecipherable.
The more like the greater the wisdom or something like that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
something
it's
like that.
really horrible.
Yep.
That was in like what, chapter 1 or 2?
It's chapter 1.
That was on paragraph 3, you guys. That was not even far in.
Yeah, that was really, really close to the introduction.
Blavatsky's crazy.
Yep.
And according to her, that's great because that means she's
Right,
really
of
wise.
course.
Yeah.
That's how you get around it. That's playing some 4D chess.
See, first I justified being crazy as great, and then I was crazy.
Yeah.
No, that's no, Blavatsky.
Better the one who hides his folly than the one who hides his wisdom. And then there's another verse that is set aside.
Mhm.
I guess it's only in Greek. It is better to await the inevitable while serving the Lord than to be the ungoverned helmsman for the careening of one's life.
So I don't know if there's like any textual note on that. Maybe there is.
This verse is present in a single Greek manuscript.
A single Greek one. Okay. Yeah, because this entire section, at least according to Austerlitz, was in Greek. I don't know how many more manuscripts we found. Although his translation is, better is persistent endurance in seeking the Lord than a driver of his own life without a master.
It's Codex 248.
Okay.
Wage slavery.
Oh, it's okay. And instead of driver, he also suggests literally charioteer.
Oh. Well,
Yeah, take
what
the
do you
reins.
do?
You
that's
take
what
the reins of your own life. That's
yeah.
not a great thing, apparently.
No, that's a terrible thing. Don't take the reins of your own life.
Yeah,
You
let
have
somebody
to
else
That's
control it.
God's job.
await the inevitable while serving the Lord.
Wow. I mean,
Anyways.
there's a flood. Get out of there, I guess.
So, like, autonomy is not valuable.
Yeah, although that verse would be getting, I wouldn't say it's definitely deterministic. I don't think it is, but it's it's getting close.
It's not outright deterministic, but it is, like, definitely not in favor of any kind of, like, libertarian ethic.
Yeah.
So, oof.
But yeah, one Greek manuscript apparently. But anyways, yeah, that's the end of chapter 20.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and we're going to get into some. I'm looking forward a bit just to see where we get into like the really saucy stuff.
Well, if you're enjoying the stream so far, be sure to give us a like, a comment, a subscription, a bell click, and that's all for free.
Also share.
Well, you can share
Yeah.
if you want
Go ahead.
to.
You can go ahead and click
You can
share.
if you
Here's
want
some
to.
stuff.
Okay.
Our favorite song to use a meme for, I guess.
I mean, that's a very good song, I think.
Indeed it is.
I know a lot of people, don't really like Men Without Hats, but I do.
Great.
And you can judge me all you want. I'm not going to apologize for that.
we don't have hats.
I'm going to
I know.
judge you for not having a hat.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so we
right,
can hop into 21.
Oh, man.
Yeah, there's a good amount of stuff, huh?
Yeah, there is.
All right, chapter 21. My son, hast thou sinned? Add not thereto, and make supplication concerning thy former sins.
All right. So, wow,
You all right there?
that is just not in there. It says in this section on sin, 21, 1 through 10,
Yeah.
Sirach opens with the invitation to forgiveness of your past sins and then moves on to the image of the bite of a snake. Okay.
Oh, no, that goes on, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to continue then.
Yeah.
Flee from sin as from the face of a serpent, for it thou come near it. for if thou come near it, it will bite thee. The teeth of a lion are the teeth thereof, slaying the souls of men. So there is, obviously there's a reference to the serpent. This entire section actually contains the wealth of references to Old Testament material.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, on the analogy of the Garden of Eden story with the serpent, snakes were often used to symbolize the onset of sin and temptation, as in Proverbs 23:32, where too much wine bites like a serpent. The image of sin as a lion was used in 1 Peter 5:8, where, like the roaring lion, the devil prowls around looking for someone to devour.
Yeah, so
Also, proverbial was the two-edged sword.
which is in the next verse, like
Yeah.
a two-edged sword is all iniquity. From the stroke thereof is no healing.
Which slashes in both directions. This image is used for a loose woman in Proverbs 5:4 and for the faithful executing vengeance in Psalm 149, 6 through 7.
Yeah, so there's a lot of connections with Old Testament stuff, and there's also we can suggest that the author of First Peter had influence from this. That is a strong possibility. I'm not 100% sure though.
Well, there's a
Although Sirach was a very influential text.
it says in here, the two-edged sword was proverbial. See Judges 3:16, Proverbs 5:4, Psalm 149, 6 through 7, Hebrews 4:12, Revelations 1:16, and 2:12.
Yeah, so there's quite a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Either way. Verse 4. Tyranny and violence destroy wealth, so the house of the arrogant is desolated. Supplication from the mouth of a poor man reacheth unto his ears, and his vindication cometh quickly.
What was that verse?
That was verse 5 that I just read.
Okay.
He that hateth reproof walketh in the path of a sinner, but he that feareth the Lord will turn to him wholeheartedly.
So, that's about 22. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different sections in here, but the allusion to the prayer of the poor in verse 5 demonstrates Ben Sira's positive attitude towards God's rule of the world. As affirmed in ancient religious tradition, God hears the cries of persons in need. The doubts expressed in the book of Job and in Ecclesiastes have not dampened Ben Sira's spirit in the least.
Yeah, and Ecclesiastes, we are starting Ecclesiastes on Sunday.
Yeah, we are.
And the thing is, so for verse 2, it's just so good in the translation I have at home. I'm going to bring that one because in all the other ones, it's not nearly as good. They might be more correct, but not nearly as good. I'm going to go with the good one because believe you and me, when we cover what it says in that translation, you're going to have a good time. You're going to find it very amusing.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Either way. He that is mighty in tongue is known afar off, but a man of understanding knoweth when he slippeth. He that buildeth his house with other men's money is as one gathering stones against winter. So gathering stones against winter. Apparently, in a Syriac version and one Greek version, it read, for his sepulcher mound.
Yeah, there's a note in here. The point of verse 8 varies with the manuscript traditions. The Septuagint has for the winter,
Mhm.
whereas the important manuscript 248 has for a tomb.
Mm.
The former implies that one gathers stones instead of wood in preparation for cold weather. The latter reading may suggest that the payment on loan becomes due before the burial mound is complete.
Yeah, so depending on what manuscripts you are taking, it could change the entire meaning of this verse, not just the text.
Mm.
Like Tau wrapped together is the gathering of the ungodly, and their end is a flame of fire. The way of sinners is made smooth without stones, and at the end thereof is the pit of Hades. So verse 10.
Yeah, it's Sheol.
Yeah.
And
Obviously.
obviously, it's Sheol. Before there, in verse 9. In 42:19 through 14, not 9 through 14, not 19 through 14. He complains that daughters are a secret anxiety to their fathers, and a headstrong daughter may make him a laughing stock.
Oh, we're going to get to that. It's going to be some
Yeah.
juicy stuff here in the next section.
Oh, yeah. See, they have it broken down here with the different things, and they just say, like, verse 9 instead of saying 22:9 or 21:9, even though they're both in the same section,
Yeah.
which
yeah.
is really obnoxious.
Yeah, but we're going to get to some very juicy stuff today.
Yeah.
Either way. So, into the next section we go. This one is titled The Godly and the Godless. So, verse 11. He that observeth the law becometh the master of the intent thereof, and the fear of the Lord is the consummation of wisdom. He that is not wise will not be instructed, and there is a wisdom which maketh bitterness to abound. So that's a weird verse. Okay, so
What verse is that?
that's verse 12.
Verse
There
12.
are some
He
text-
can never be taught who is not shrewd, but one form of shrewdness is thoroughly bitter. For 21:12. That's a little different.
Yeah, so maybe if there's some commentary on that, but I'll continue while you take a look. The knowledge of a wise man aboundeth like a flood, and his counsel is like a fountain of life. So it's not this is not a reference to the flood. This is because, in the next section you have the fountain of life thing. It's like just this flood of life-giving water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
The inward parts of a fool are like a broken vessel. He holdeth no knowledge. Go ahead.
These verses right here are echoing the language of Jeremiah 2:13. For cistern was the Latin, broken jar obscures this, and the Greek is at best ambiguous.
Broken vessel. I mean, I get what they're saying.
Mm.
Because, in 14b, he holdeth no knowledge. Like, we get what they're trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
If an understanding man hear a wise word, he commendeth it and addeth thereto. The wanton man heareth, and it displeaseth him, and he casteth it behind his back.
So,
Just throws it away. Get out of here. Criticism.
I wonder if there was a lot of engagement with India at all. Like,
Well, there
really?
would have been some because Cyrus conquered like from that region
Mhm.
all the way up to, well, he got through the Near East, but then Darius went further into Egypt and stuff, or was that Cambyses? Maybe it was Cambyses. Either way, yeah. During that time, there was a lot of trading, and people were displaced everywhere. So there may have been some influence from stuff like Buddhism and
well, because
Hinduism.
I know that the broken jar thing, right? That's used as a metaphor in a lot of Indian texts. I know that it's used at least in the Avadhuta Gita, and a bunch of others. They use it to describe what Brahmins like. They're like, what is the contents of an empty jar when the jar is broken?
Yeah,
Or something like that, right? So
like questions that are effectively meaningless.
yeah, so I wonder if this was kind of a response to that. A fool's mind is like a broken jar. No knowledge at all can it hold.
Maybe. That's a good question. I don't know, but maybe. Anyways, the discourse of a fool is like a burden on a journey, but upon the lips of the wise, grace is found. So yeah, you just hate talking to fools. The utterance of a prudent man is sought for in the assembly, and his words are pondered in the heart. That's not where you ponder words.
Where they thought they pondered words.
That is where they thought they pondered words. As a horse that is destroyed, so is wisdom to a fool.
Like a house in ruins is wisdom to a fool. You said horse.
Oh, that does say house. This thing is so ridiculous.
It's a bad scan.
It's a really bad scan.
Yeah.
Like seriously, like half the letter is missing. Okay.
I like that destroyed horse.
I also like a destroyed horse.
That would have
I was
been great.
confused. House makes way more sense.
It
I was
does make
so
a lot
confused
more
by that.
sense, unfortunately.
Yeah. Man, what a horrible scan. Not completely my fault, partially my fault, not completely. And the knowledge of an unwise man is as talk without sense. As chains on their feet, so is instruction to the foolish. And as manacles on their right hand.
Like a chain of gold is learning to the wise, like an armlet on his right arm.
Manacles, those bracers I put you guys in D&D when you got put in prison.
Okay.
You don't remember?
I know what manacles
Just
are.
Lawrence.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I don't even remember that.
This Christmas special.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. The fool lifteth up his voice with laughter, but the wise man scarcely smileth in silence. As a golden ornament is instruction to the wise, and as a bracelet upon their right arm. So kind of parallels verse 19 there.
Yeah.
Now this one, apparently it's in Hebrew, the manuscript that he's using, Osterly, and it's very jumbled up. So there is a 22a, and then 23b, and then 23a, and then 22b. That's how he has it.
Yeah, actually, this whole thing is all jumbled up in here, too. We have, it's like normal up until 19. Then you get 21, 22a, 23b, 23a, 22b, 24. And then 20. And then 25.
See, that's ridiculous. And I feel like, when I was reading over the commentaries, I think the New Interpreter's Bible one might have a commentary on the specific outline, or maybe that's for a later section. But they specifically talk about Osterly's reconstruction. It's probably later if you can't see it.
I don't see it.
Okay, but I'll continue.
Well, you know what? I do have to say that they put together these two chapters, 21 and 22, and then they don't do much with 21 at all.
Yeah, there's really not much to say.
And sometimes it's hard to tell what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Which part they're talking about.
The foot of a fool hasteth into a house, but it is good manners to stand outside. The fool through the door looketh into a house, but the cautious man demeaneth himself humbly. It is unseemly for one to listen at the door, and the wise man is grieved at the disgrace of it. The lips of strangers only repeat what others say, but the words of the wise are weighed in balance. The heart of fools is in their mouth, but the mouth of the wise is in their heart. Oh,
Ooh.
that's a good old diss right there. When the ungodly curseth his adversary, he curseth his own soul. The whisperer defileth his own soul, and is hated wheresoever he sojourneth. And the whisperer is the gossiper.
I don't
People
think
who gossip.
whispering's that bad, though.
Yeah.
It's probably fine.
Well, the gossiping person gets brought up in Proverbs too.
Yeah, it gets brought up a lot.
I heard
Yeah.
Ruben doesn't like whispering.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Milwaukee Atheist ASMR.
I don't care about whispering either way.
Me neither.
No, I was kidding. It's gossip.
Horrible. Anyways, that is actually the end of chapter 21.
What a confusing chapter with no explanation for its layout.
Yeah, there's really not that much.
Like, you would think one of these commentaries would have something.
No.
No. No, at least nothing that I could find.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, there's parallels in these other books, right? Like a lot of Proverbs parallels.
Yeah.
And talk about sluggards and
And
gossiping
fools
people.
and yeah.
It was
Fools.
mostly dissing the fool.
Mhm.
And then some intermediate wisdom that was scatterbrained between other parts of different texts.
Mhm.
Classic wisdom literature.
Okay, if you're enjoying the stream so far, share it around.
Drop a like, all that good stuff. It all helps us out.
Yeah.
We love you.
Wow.
Yeah.
That escalated quickly.
Okay, 22. The sluggard is like a filthy stone, so vile that everyone hisses at it. The sluggard is
Here, so-
like a lump of dung. Anyone who picks it up scours his hand.
He's a piece of shit. So-
Wow, first reference to 100% that.
Yeah, I don't think we've had a biblical reference to someone being a piece of shit yet.
no, I don't think we
I
have.
don't know that
Not
we will. This is apocryphal, but
Not quite in that way. So the harsh criticism of sluggards within the book of Proverbs continues in 22, 1 through 2, where Ben Sira uses a coarse image to describe them, that of a smooth rock used in the ancient world after a bowel movement.
Wow.
yeah, you can't trust the leaves.
Yeah.
No, it's got to be a smooth rock. It's like smooth jazz, but
Horrible. You're
smooth
horrible.
rock.
Stop it. You're ruining jazz.
An unruly son is his father's shame. If it be a daughter, she was born for his disrepute. A sensible girl will be a treasure to her husband. A shameless one is her father's grief. A hussy shames her father and her husband. By both she is despised.
So let's talk about that.
Oh,
Yeah.
we've talked about
This
this,
is
so much.
the raunchy stuff. Here, Ben Sira utters one of his most misogynistic statements, his opinion, and I like the addition here of the word regrettably. Like, you could just say it was his opinion. Like, I know that they're just trying to do some damage control.
Yep.
But anyways, yeah. His opinion, regrettably, was shared by many at that time. Precisely what inspired the observation that the birth of a daughter is a loss can only be surmised, although the context may suggest that he had in mind the difficulty and cost involved in obtaining a suitable husband for her. Elsewhere, his comments about daughters imply suspicion about their morals and show that he did not think highly of them, at least not of a certain kind of daughter. One can see how such an opinion of girls would fit nicely into a society that exposes infant daughters to the elements in order for them to die. Echoes of this horrible practice occur within the Old Testament. The most obvious instance concerns the old story about Yahweh's discovery of an infant girl in the wilderness and nurturing the child until she had reached a marriageable age, at which time the Lord married her, Ezekiel 16:1-14. The theological point, God's choice of Israel when it had done nothing to deserve it, turns on Israel's existence as an infant that someone had to cast out to die. So there's that one. And then continuing on the Ben Sira commentary, in its liturgical practice, later Judaism continued this negative attitude toward women. A daily prayer recommended for all men stated, "Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who have not made me a woman." And every man was urged to thank God daily for not making him a woman or a slave, because, those are on par. This sentiment reflects the numerous regulations in Jewish law strictly regulating the life of a woman. So that's where that came from, I guess.
Yeah. The Jews of the time considered it a misfortune to beget daughters. See Menachoth or Menachoth, one or the other, 43b, where it is urged that a man bless God daily for not having made him a woman or a slave. In the daily morning prayer of the Jewish liturgy is the following.
Yeah, that's the thing I just referenced, apparently.
Yeah. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who have not made me a woman.
Yep.
Or a slave.
Or a slave, yeah.
That was never in the liturgy in the temple that I was brought up in.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, they never did that.
If it was,
They had
you would have an
completely
interesting
different line.
Yeah. If it was, you'd have a much more interesting story to tell. But here's some stuff from Erdman's. So continuing on, in 42:9-14, he complains that daughters are a secret anxiety to their fathers, and a headstrong daughter may make him a laughingstock. 22:6 perhaps reads strangely in this context, but the thrashing and discipline may refer to the difficulty of bringing daughters up. The verse forms a useful link to the discussion of fools, which follows in verse 9. Useful link.
What a great link.
Mm-hmm.
Like a song in time of mourning is inopportune talk, but lashes and discipline are at all times wisdom.
Yeah.
Now, verses 7 and 8 are set aside in the bottom of the page. Apparently, they're only in Greek. So I'm going to read them anyway.
Yeah.
Children whose upbringing leads to a wholesome life veil over the ignoble origins of their own parents. Children whose pride is in scornful misconduct besmirch the nobility of their own family.
Yeah, how rude.
How rude. Teaching a fool is like gluing a broken pot or like disturbing someone in the depths of sleep. He talks with a slumberer who talks with a fool, for when it is over, he will say, "What was that?" Weep over the dead, for his light is gone out. Weep over the fool, for sense has left him. Weep the more gently over the dead, for he is at rest. But worse than death is the life of a fool.
Yeah, so it's better to be dead than to be a fool.
7 days of mourning for the dead, but for the fool, a whole lifetime.
We got to feel really, really bad for fools.
Yep. Speak but seldom with the stupid. Be not the companion of a brute. Stay clear of him, lest you have trouble and be spattered when he shakes himself.
That was finish verse 13.
Yep. Turn away from him, and you will find rest, and not be wearied by his lack of sense.
So mine is a little bit different. It actually has an additional verse, an additional line. So talk not much with a foolish man, and consort not with a man without understanding. For being without sense, he will altogether despise thee. Beware of him, lest thou have trouble, and thou become defiled when he shaketh himself. And then turn from him, and thou will find rest. And so thou wilt not be wearied with his folly.
Mm.
So I think there was a section in there, the second line, for being without sense. Was that in yours? I don't think it was. Unless I totally missed it.
I think that, it's all broken up in a weird way here.
But either way, so the image in verse 13 moves one step further than that of fools as the ancient equivalent of toilet paper. Here, they shake themselves like pigs. The Hebrew original probably had dogs and spread their filth on all bystanders. So very negative view here, fools.
Yeah, no textual note on pigs or dogs.
Gotcha.
So,
Well, we can continue.
yep. What is heavier than lead? What but fool is the name for it? Okay. Sand and salt and an iron lump are less of a burden than the stupid. Wow. Masonry, bonded with wooden beams. Masonry can't melt wooden beams. Is not loosened by an earthquake. Neither is a resolve constructed with careful deliberation shaken in a moment of fear. A resolve that is based on prudent understanding is like the carved embellishment on a smooth wall. Small stones lying on an open height will not remain when the wind blows. Neither can a timid resolve based on foolish plans withstand fear of any kind. Hopefully those small stones aren't the filthy stones referenced at the beginning.
Let's hope not.
Oh, they're the very ones he was referring to for shit wiping earlier.
I mean, it does open and close that section like that.
Oh yeah,
The theme of the beginning and end.
Yeah, but there's more to chapter 22. In fact, it's broken up. It goes into
friendship
a
apparently.
section on friendship, and then it goes into another section that it
On
shares with
best friendship.
No. Let's talk about friendship. One who jabs the eye brings tears. He who pierces the heart bears its feelings.
That's interesting. And a wound in the heart severeth friendship.
Ooh. Yeah, it's not literal.
Yeah.
He who throws stones at birds frightens them off, and he who insults a friend breaks up the friendship. Should you draw the sword against a friend, despair not, it can be undone. Should you speak sharply to a friend, fear not, you can be reconciled. But a contemptuous insult, a confidence broken, or a treacherous attack will drive any friend away.
Yeah, so reproach, arrogance, betrayal, and a deceitful blow. Those are listed as the things that you can't really fix in a friendship, which I think you can actually, although it is more difficult than the other stuff, like just arguing with a friend about something. I mean, we argue all the time.
Nah, I agree with you.
There's a text.
I will now deceive you.
There's a textual note.
Give you a bit of the razzle dazzle.
Yeah.
Thanks,
ahead
Lawrence.
with your textual note.
22 CD. With these two cola should be considered the intrusive line in Hebrew manuscript B, following 31 verse 2, which reads, "A trusty friend insult will drive away, but one who keeps secrets concealed is an intimate friend." Where manuscript B has it, the only function of the line is as a gloss on the expression "drive away sleep" in 31:2. For the rest, it is closer with Strack to reflecting the content of 22:22 than that of 27:16, where there's some attempt to put it. Its vocabulary rings true, but the line is loosely constructed with insults and one who keeps secrets concealed as parallel subjects, and it's scarcely authentic in that form. Most likely the line originated as a gloss on 22:22 that said a trusty friend wards off insult and one, etc.
Okay, so this is probably the best place for it, but apparently some people have considered it to be, or I guess in some manuscripts, didn't you say that it was after, like in chapter 31?
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, quite the difference. But although we get that a lot in scribal traditions, like even the pericope adultery, which is in John, it has appeared in Luke and in different parts in Luke and also in different parts in John, in different manuscripts. So yeah, there was a lot of liturgical use for stuff like that. So perhaps this boils down to a liturgical thing.
All right. Before flames burst forth comes billowing smoke. So does abuse come before bloodshed. Make fast friends with a person while he is poor. Thus you will enjoy his prosperity with him.
I feel like that. I mean, go finish the verse. Sorry.
Okay. In time of trouble, remain true to him so as to share his inheritance with him when it comes.
Yeah. So just basically saying, try to exploit or try to use poor people
Because
when they get wealth. Like basically invest in them.
Yeah, invest your time in being friendly to poor people so that when their families die and they get their inheritance, you get part of that inheritance.
Yeah, or when they die,
So
you get the inheritance.
yeah,
something
or
like that.
like, but that's like literally taking money out of the hands of poor people.
Yeah.
That's awful.
So great advice there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you should be friends with them.
How is that not deceitful?
That's extremely deceitful.
Exactly.
Well, I guess the idea is that you share in his prosperity, that somehow you both bring about by virtue of working together as friends.
Right,
or
but the
something.
fact that you explicitly say that is, it just seems very self-defeating, this entire thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's not even a way to. There's really no commentary on this. Not at least not good commentary. So we can honestly just continue.
Yeah. From a friend in need of support, do not hide in shame. So don't hide from your friends who need support. If harm comes to him on your account, all will stand aloof from you who hear of it. Now we're going into another section, which only one verse in chapter 22 is in this section.
Yeah.
Verse 27. Who will set a guard over my mouth and upon my lips an all-purpose seal, that I may not fail through my lips, that my tongue may not destroy me?
So before we hop, and that is the end of chapter 22.
Yes.
Yeah. So before we hop into this next section, this is where what I was talking about earlier, with the verses being switched around.
Mhm.
This next section is where it takes place, and there is a good bit of commentary on that. So once I read through the verses, then you can read that commentary on
Okay.
it. Yeah, it's right there on the left.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm looking at it.
Yeah, and before the beginning here of chapter 23, Osterley notes that 23, 1 through 5 in Greek have gotten out of order. The text is also corrupt in parts. The following translation is based partly on an amended Greek text and partly on Syriac. So he tried his best, but I guess we are going to, we're going to read over this, some commentary, and we will see what makes the most sense, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, chapter 23. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe and all that other stuff.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and share.
That's the first verse of the chapter.
That's right there, guys.
Yeah. You don't know.
Neither did I. I wasn't procced for that or anything.
Yeah. Prophetic wisdom here.
Yep. I think unless the scan is so bad that it's missing a number, I don't think there's a 1. Okay, I'm just going to keep going, and I'm just going to start, actually, and we'll see how it goes.
Read.
Oh, that one would get scourges over my mind, and the discipline of wisdom over my heart, that they spare me not for mine ignorances, and overlook not my sins, that mine ignorances be not multiplied, and that my sins abound not, lest I fall in the sight of mine adversaries, and mine enemy rejoice over me.
So you're completely missing verse 1.
That's what I thought.
I have 1A and 1C.
Okay.
Lord, my Father, and the Master of my life, permit me not to fall because of them. And there's really nothing explaining why it's like that. It's
Or why it would
okay. It's Greek gives the colon 1b that has been read here after 4a, where it's found
Okay.
in Latin and Syriac.
Gotcha. All right, so that's the next section here. O Lord, Father, and Master of my life, abandon me not to their control.
Yes.
Okay.
It appears likely that the Syriac first used for a word, the obvious Hebrew source for the... Okay, so the Syriac and the Greek used different words. The noun doesn't survive in Syriac literature and has been corrupted into a different Syriac word as
Okay.
we have it.
So aside from just the words, the order is very strange here. It's different because things are just straight up mixed around in, because you have this recreation, right,
Mhm.
from Osterley, who tries to put it back in the right order. But sometimes when scholars try to put things in the right order, they end up being wrong, and now you have a new order. So
Yeah, it's like a fool tried to reassemble a broken jar or something.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, well, when I got into reading the Enuma Elish and different translations, I noticed that some things were mixed around, and in some of the publications, they went on at length in their introduction segments about why different tablets should be read in the order that they're presenting it in.
Yeah.
It would be nice if they went on at length about the order that they're presenting things in here, but they're not.
But I know that I'm going to read the rest of the section, and then you can give me the commentary from the NIB.
Yeah, I'll give you the commentary from the NIB after you finish this.
All right. So then it hops back to 4B, because apparently 1A and 4A are the same thing. So hops to 4B. Give me not a proud look, and turn away lust from me. May the lust of the body and chambering not overtake me, and give me not over to a shameless soul.
Nor shameless appetites rule over me.
All right, so that is the end of the section there.
Yes, the abrupt reference to their designs in 23:1 without a clear antecedent prompted W.O.E. Osterley to rearrange the prayer in the following sequence: 27, 2, 3, 4, 1, 5. And that my tongue destroy me not. Oh, that scourges were set over my thoughts. That mine ignorance not be multiplied. O Lord, Father, and God of my life, abandon me not to their counsels. Suffer me not to fall by them. Give me not a proud look, and turn away conspicuance from me. The manuscript evidence indicates the considerable disarray with the Syriac and the VG
Vulgate. Latin.
reading, verse 1b after 4a. The rearrangement is not necessary, for Hebrew poetry often introduces unanticipated pronouns for which the reader must supply an appropriate antecedent.
I mean, yeah, that is kind of true. We read Psalms.
Yep.
Happened a little bit.
Yep.
Either way, continuing on with verse 7. Hear, my children, concerning the discipline of the mouth. He that keepeth it will not be ensnared, but the sinner is ensnared by his lips. And the reviler and the arrogant will stumble through them. Accustom not thy mouth to an oath, and make not a habit of naming the Holy One.
So Ben Sira discusses the lavish use of oaths, which constantly place one under divine scrutiny, just like a slave who requires close watch. The implication is that the continual supervision will inevitably reveal flaws in character that demand punishment. Oath-taking alone includes the danger of swearing unknowingly to a lie, using the divine name loosely, and placing oneself in danger through excessive obligations that reduce one to poverty.
So it seems that the way oath was used was not like the same way that you and I could swear an oath. Like it was used in a way that is a direct link and kind of like a promise to God, but also to like another one.
It's like today when you say, well, not you and me, but you say, I swear to God I'll do it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like that.
Yeah.
It says the habit of swearing when one calls upon the holy name of God in oaths when there's no sufficient reasons is to be avoided. 9b may be translated literally, do not make a habit of naming the Holy One. The Holy One is one of the titles of God.
Of course. Yeah. For as a servant who is continually scourged lacketh not the marks of a blow.
Oh, hold on a second. The Greek verb to examine well or closely, or to scrutinize, and also to question, examine by torture, as in Acts 22:24.
Examined by torture. Okay.
Appears there. It's the latter meaning that's intended here, as is obvious from verse 10b. The person who swears continually, which
I'm going to read that one next.
Yeah.
So he that sweareth and continually nameth the Holy One is not cleansed from sin.
Presumably it's one who has no reason to do it. He is guilty of sin because he profanes the holy name by using it under oath. See Exodus 20:27, Leviticus 19:12, Deuteronomy 15:11.
Yeah, plenty of Old Testament stuff.
Yeah.
There. A man of many oaths is filled with iniquity, and the scourge departeth not from his house. If he offend his sin will be upon him. And if he disregard it, he sinneth doubly. And if he sweareth without need, he shall not be justified, and his house will be filled with calamities.
Calamities? Oh no.
Yeah. There is a manner of speech that is to be compared with death. Oh, that's just like the other verse, right? That there was a, it wasn't speech, it was something else. But there was a a certain kind of what was it? Do you remember it?
Being a fool is worse than being dead.
No, there was a
Shibboleth?
No, there was like in our readings earlier today that there was a certain kind of something that was bad.
Yeah, there are a lot of those.
That being a fool was worse than being dead was one of
Okay,
them.
yeah, and there is a wisdom which maketh bitterness to abound.
Mhm.
So it kind of reminds me of that there.
Mhm.
There's a certain kind of wisdom, just like there's a certain kind of manner of speech that is bad.
What verse is that?
Oh my God, I just had it. You had to ask just then,
it's
didn't
verse
you?
12?
With the verse that I'm on right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, verse 12.
Yeah.
But also the verse that I was referencing before was 20. You know what? It was 21:12.
Oh.
So yeah, there you go. Two
Oh.
chapters.
Parallelism.
Amazing.
Wonderful.
Let it not be found in the heritage of Jacob. So yeah, of course,
Mhm.
it's not for Israelites.
There are words which merit death. May they never be heard among Jacob's heirs.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's ridiculous.
Sucks for you, yeah.
It's actually absurd.
For from the godly all these things shall be put away, and they shall not wallow in sins. Accustom not thy mouth to unseemly manner of speech, for there is a sinful thing in that. A man that is accustomed to disgraceful talk will not learn wisdom all his days. Remember thy father and thy mother when thou sittest in council among the mighty, lest perchance thou stumble
Perchance.
Oh, he put that together. What has that always been one word?
I don't know.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
It's one word.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
sorry
never
if
seen
that's
it as
your
one
first
word.
encounter with
I've
it being
only
a
I've
seen
also
it as
seen
two.
per se as one word. Sometimes.
I've never seen that as
Yeah, I've
one
seen
word.
it, but I've also seen it separated.
Yeah.
I've
and it's
always
grammatically
seen it
correct both
separated.
ways, I think.
Oh man,
Isn't that annoying?
Yeah.
Bummer.
Mhm.
lest perchance thou stumble among them, and showest thyself a fool in thy manner of speech, and dost wish thou hadst not been born, and curseth the day of thy birth. Very Job-like.
Yeah. Very
Yeah.
Job-like.
And then we're into another section about impurity. Two types of men multiply
Oh,
sin.
yours doesn't have verse 15?
I guess not.
A person who has the habit of abusive language will never mature in character as long as he lives.
Huh. All right.
And
Well,
there's no note on it.
wow, that's a bummer. The two types of men multiply sins, and a third bringeth wrath. A lustful soul burning like fire, which is not quenched till it be consumed. A fornicator in the body of his flesh, for he ceaseth not till the fire consume him. And the fornicator to whom all bread is sweet, for he will not leave off. For he will not leave off till he die. And
So Sirach introduces fornication and adultery in 23:16 with a numerical proverb. Such proverbs were frequently used by wisdom writers. The last number is emphasized most. Here, the third, Proverbs 6:16 through 19, is a good example. Sirach uses the same technique again in 25:7 through 11, 26:5 through 6, and 50:25 through 26. The phrase bread is sweet is a deliberate reference to bread eaten in secret is pleasant.
yeah,
Words of the foolish woman in Proverbs 9:17.
yeah. If you remember, we were having a whole discussion about that. Like, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, why is eating bread in secret sweet? So yeah, it's a sex thing. It's an adultery thing.
Yes.
Uh,
All bread is sweet.
all of it.
Yeah.
Giggity.
So the rake to whom all bread is sweet is never through until he dies. Is verse 17 here. So it's about bisexuals?
Maybe.
Good question.
Maybe.
Probably not directly.
Huh?
Just maybe just about, adulterers in general. People who like to, promiscuous people.
So I mean, like, it could be like a really bad womanizer. Right?
Yeah.
It could also be like a number of other
Yeah.
things. Basically,
Anyone who likes sex.
any sexual sin could be under the wide range of what this is about.
Right, yeah. A man there is that goeth astray from his own bed, and saith in his heart, Who seeth me? Darkness is around me, and the walls hide me, and no man seeth me. Of what I shall be afraid. Of what shall I be afraid?
Who is to stop me from sinning?
Yeah. The Most High remembereth not my sins. The eyes of men are his only fear, and he perceiveth not that the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding
Observe.
all the ways of men, and looking into secret places. For all things are known unto him before they are created. So also doth he see them after they are perfected, even though he clearly sees them sinning. They are perfected.
The one who
Before
knows
things happen, they're not perfect, apparently.
well, the one who knows all things before they exist still knows them all after they cease to be.
Okay.
Oh, makes a lot more sense.
That does. Such a man shall be punished in the streets of the city, and shall be taken where he suspecteth it not. So also a wife that leaveth her husband, and bringeth in an heir by a stranger. For firstly, she is disobedient to the law of the Most High, and secondly, she trespasseth against her own husband, and thirdly, she committeth adultery through her fornication, and bringeth in children by a stranger. She shall be led into the assembly, and upon her children there will be visitation. Her children shall not spread out their roots, and her branches shall bear no fruit. She will leave her memory for a curse, and her reproach shall not be blotted out.
So in verse 24 there, in this translation, it says, such a woman will be dragged before the assembly, and her punishment will extend to her children.
Okay. Oh boy. Well, if you remember when we were reading through the Torah,
But
I'm pretty sure the punishment was death.
But when it says her children will not take root, her branches will not bring forth fruit, she will leave an accursed memory. Her disgrace will never be blotted out.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that they kill her while she's still pregnant?
Or maybe
They kill her children in front of her, too, like they did in...
right, in Maccabees.
In
Maccabees, they
kill
kill the
her kids
children.
in front of her. Yeah, and then they kill her.
And then they kill her.
Yeah, but then it is really weird there, because she will leave her memory for a curse, and her reproach shall not be blotted out. So of course everyone will remember and talk about it for all time, I guess. This kind of makes sense with the idea that we have discussed before in Sirach, actually, about the importance of your reputation.
Mm-hmm. And it says in the commentary here, it is to be noted that Ben Sira does not speak at all about the injustice the adulterer commits against his wife, or about the possibility that the adulterer may also have children by another woman. Like the adulterer in the alternative translation in 21b, the adulteress will also be dragged before the assembly for public punishment, perhaps scourging, Under Talmudic law, the husband of the adulteress was forbidden to condone her crime, but was compelled to divorce her. She lost all property rights under her marriage contract. So, basically, you become homeless or property of whoever knocked you up.
Or
right?
yeah. Classic. And they that are left behind shall know that nothing is better than the fear of the Lord, and nothing sweeter than to observe the commandments of the Lord. To follow after God is great glory, and length of days it is for thee to be accepted of him.
So the nothing sweeter returns to the all bread is sweet.
Yes,
Thing.
of course.
Because
Of course, all bread is sweet.
But nothing
Giggity.
is sweeter than
Than
what
the
God
glory
wants.
of God and all that, all that stuff. Anyways,
And God wants dollars. God wants cents.
You know-
God wants Swiss francs. God wants French francs.
you know who, what text is this reading from? Oh, yeah, this is from Sirach, the wisdom of Ben Sira. Yeah.
Or
It goes by
the
many
wisdom
names.
of the Jesus
The wisdom of Jesus, Ben
Sira.
yeah.
But it's Sirach. It's
Ecclesiasticus. Yeah. Yeah, it goes by so many names.
Which we'll be reading Ecclesiastes on Sunday, so I'm
Yes, we will.
glad that we didn't get one which has the title Ecclesiasticus, because then we would be reading Ecclesiastes and Ecclesiasticus at the same time, and it would be obnoxious.
Yeah, although we
Which one is it again?
Yeah, Sirach is apocryphal outside of the Catholic tradition.
and speaking of God wanting, all those different kinds of currency,
Yes.
Baal also likes dollar bills, y'all.
Wow.
Right?
Please never say that again.
I feel like you were one of those guys that are made fun of for being boomers because they say things that dated. Yeah,
It's great.
it's not great. It's depressing.
Anyways, Baal, this little guy right here, this amazing God, as you can see, worship,
Nope, can't
bow
see it.
down, all that
Hello.
stuff.
Nope. There you go.
Yep.
You see, okay.
We have a $666 donation drive open right now. We are currently about $40 or so into it. Once we hit $666, we will be getting a thetan meter. We'll be testing it out. We'll be seeing how clear everyone is and how many thetans we're carrying around. Then we'll be taking apart that thetan meter and showing you all how it actually works.
And we're trying to manipulate it and stuff.
Yep. Our previous donation drive will still take a little while to get together.
Yeah.
For
Because
trying
this
alchemy.
global situation does not look like it is getting much better.
Yes, this global situation sucks. There's a bookmark.
Okay, I was making sure.
But
Let's
I
see.
mean that's we got other stuff. If you want to see more stuff on this show, check out our Amazon wish list where
Yes, the link is in the description. Our
Yeah,
Amazon wish list.
we
yeah.
actually just we have the Corpus Hermeticum.
Mhm.
We'll be going over that eventually
Yeah.
in some form. And
Yeah, we got a whole bunch of books you can add to this table. This table of books. You can add to our sources for other videos that are not these live shows. Lot of great books on there. We will read them, use them as sources. You're investing in your own entertainment and your own knowledge. Let's see what else. What else we got going on? We got a Teespring too. Interestingly enough, so this is a new month. On Sunday, we will be doing a T-shirt giveaway. If by Sunday
Landon might win.
yeah, Landon might win. If on Sunday you are a patron of $10 a month or more, you get entered into the monthly T-shirt giveaways. So if you want the chance of winning a T-shirt and not having to just go to our Teespring store, which is also linked in the description to buy one, then you can go ahead and do that, and you have the chance of winning a shirt.
Yep. And for $50 a month, you can be on this show or on our Sunday show or any of other weekly shows we might do.
Yeah. and you get everything.
Once a month.
And other tiers, all video scripts for $1 a month. All of our video scripts.
And I think you got to be $20 in to get the
patron hangout.
The patron hangout.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once a month.
Yeah. And
Patron hangout.
Yeah.
Probably next Sunday.
Probably next Sunday. So if you want to get in,
I don't know if
there,
it's next Sunday.
It's not? Oh, it's whenever Landon's on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's next one. Maybe the one after that. But either way, all that good stuff, all those great rewards and more on our Patreon. Let's see what else we got. We also have Facebook and Twitter. It's free to follow us on those. Links are also in the description.
Yeah, you could also like start websites which reference us and like just
Post
make us
stuff
really
there.
popular around all of the internet, the whole world. You can post our stuff on your social media.
Yeah.
Incredible.
yes.
We don't have to do stuff except this then.
Let me tell you, if you're on Facebook or Twitter and you're arguing with someone and you want to just link them one of our videos on the subject, then you can go ahead and do that. I mean,
Feel free to. We're not stopping you.
it makes it easier for you. It makes it easier for us. And hopefully it makes it easier for them, unless they're like the fools that Ben Sira talks about.
Yeah.
And it's completely useless to talk to them at all.
Sometimes that does happen.
Yes. Often that happens.
Yeah, you're right. Either way, I think that's all the shilling we had to do. I think it is. Yeah. All right.
That's everything.
Yeah, that's everything.
Hey. And, okay, well, we will see you on
See you
Sunday.
on Sunday.